Welcome back to the Bonded Dental Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tanner Townsend, along with my co-host, Remington Townsend. And today we have an exciting podcast with Bill Becknell, the president and CEO of Mortenson Dental. Bill, you've had a plethora of experiences from the grocery industry all the way into dental. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're super excited to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you, Tanner. It's exciting to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Always great to talk to both of you. So happy to be here. Yeah, so dentistry is a fascinating place to be, and a little bit of an odd journey of how I got into dentistry. But I started out in the grocery business as a young kid. I worked my way through school. I spent 21 years there. Learned a whole lot about multi-site, multi-unit management, operations. Recruited from Kroger to PPG Industries to run their company-owned stores in the U.S. This was a challenging time. It was 2006, and pretty soon the great financial crisis hit, and obviously selling architectural coatings during a housing crisis gets to be a little challenging. So we reduced our store count from about 390 down to 330, grew it back to a little bit shy of 900 in 2014 by a lot of acquisitions, a lot of growth. And at that time, we're looking at a relocation for my family. I did not really want to relocate from Louisville, Kentucky to Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh's a fantastic city. My kids were in high school, just not the right time to move. And so at that time, I reached out to the founder of Mortenson Dental Partners, Dr. Wayne Mortenson, and just said, hey, here's what I do. And it looks like you're experiencing a lot of growth. Is there anything I can do of any value there for you? Take the trash out or whatever. And he gave me a couple of interviews. I got to meet with the team a little bit, and he brought me on as chief strategy officer in 2014. I spent 2.5 years in that role, getting to know dentistry, the organization, moved from there into the president's role for a period of years. And then as Dr. Wayne decided to move into a kind of a slower role, he scaled back to maybe part-time, 30, 35 hours a week for Wayne, and moved into the founder's role. And he asked me to become CEO in October of 2018, which I gladly and appreciatively accepted, and have been in that role ever since. And so fantastic to be here. Sorry, that was maybe a little longer winded than you had hoped. But anyway, so it's not that interesting, but I'm happy to be in dentistry and certainly happy to be part of the team at Mortenson Dental Partners.
No, that was a fantastic introduction. So thank you, Bill. It's crazy to see how you can have experiences in different industries and then pick up dentistry and run with it. You've obviously been very successful that way. So, let's jump into this. Remington, let's start maybe off with how Mortenson is a little bit different in origin story, but Remington, why don't you kick us off?
I'd love to know a little bit more about Mortenson. What makes Mortenson Dental different than every other dental DSO in the world or in the United States?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's some things here that we're really proud of. There's a couple things about the organization that are, I would say, very unique. The first is our ownership structure. So we are 100% doctor and employee owned. And you see several DSOs that have doctor ownerships in their model, but we do not have any private equity or any institutional capital in our business. And so one of the things we're very proud of is the ability that we've shown to continue to grow, advance our company without bringing in that type of capital. And so we have a 9-member board, 7 of which are doctors. So we're very heavily influenced on the doctor side about how we run our business, the decisions we make, our strategic plan is all set and approved by our board of directors, and again, led by doctors. So that's been really exciting. The ownership structure is 33% owned by the employees in an ESOP, which is a trust that holds equity for all the team members. And so every person that works at Mortenson Dental Partners and cares for a patient is part of an owner. And so it really creates a lot of energy around bringing people together for the best outcomes for the company, which of course is great care for patients, and allows us to really unite and create a lot of energy around that topic. And so that would be one of the first things. The other 67% is owned by our doctors that have decided to directly invest in the company. So, it's really good. And we treat it much like a little miniature public company, if you will. We have quarterly earnings reports. Our doctors can jump on the call and we'll give a company update and talk about how things went, what we need to work on, share the financial results, all those types of things. And just really a very close-knit organization that works together to do the right things and have a lot of fun. Maybe some other things about Mortenson that's pretty unique. We have a very comprehensive support platform. One of our past president, Dr. Will Engelman, was actually Wayne's son-in-law. And he went to college, graduated, had a computer information degree, and Wayne was at that time growing his family dental business. And one Sunday, the story is that at the dinner table, Wayne said, Dr. Engelman really has a ring to it. And, Will was already out of school, had gotten his IT degree and working down that path. And after some reflection, Will decided Dr. Engelman did have a ring to it. And so he went back to dental school, thought that was a lot of fun, went on to become an orthodontist and opened up some ortho practices. And at some point in time, rolled that into Mortenson Dental Partners and became part of the family business, if you will. Will had the dental experience, but he also had the IT experience. And that allowed Mortenson to begin to build a support system probably well ahead of its time. And I used to tell Will, you built your own enterprise resource planning system. And I called it an ERP. And he says, what's that? And it was just so intuitive to him to get the data from the practices, bring it in, roll it up, marry it up with human resources data, supplier data, et cetera, and then learn and then educate practice managers, clinicians about things that were going on in the business and how to improve. And so our support system is really, really comprehensive. We find that when practices join us, and a lot of times groups that join us, that's one of the motivating reasons. I'll give you just a real quick example of this. About 70% of insurance payments we don't even touch in terms of applying them into the practice management software. We have computer automation that looks at all of that information and just automatically applies the payment. And so we used to, 10, 11 years ago, we had 70 or 80 people processing insurance, and we're down to about 10 or 15 now, which is a huge deal. And so we've moved into centralized insurance verification and other things, but just a really innovative support group with all the right intentions of supporting our doctors and taking some of that admin burden away from them and allowing them to focus on patient experience and patient care. So that would be two things that are pretty unique about us.
That's fascinating. Just listening to you, you've stimulated dozens of questions in my mind. One, in order for to get to where you're at today, you had to start somewhere. Tell me about your story and how you did, because you're doctor owned, you're employee owned, you have all of these wonderful developments. I am just fascinated from where you are today, but tell us from where you came from.
Yeah, so Wayne went to dental school in 1979 in the University of Louisville, graduated and set up a dental practice on the edge of Louisville at that time. It was Middletown, Kentucky. I think there were two ops at the time when he got started. His wife, Sue, running the front desk and taking care of patients, and Wayne taking care of their oral health care. The story is they had a church pew that they bought secondhand in the waiting room for people to wait for their appointment. And if you weren't real careful, you sat on early, not just right. It had a little crack and it would give you a little pinch in the seat of your pants. And that's really kind of how they got started. And so Wayne practiced solo dentistry for many, many years. As his kids became to get older, they went to dental school as well. The oldest son, Dr. Brent, became an oral surgeon. Dr. Todd and Dr. Jeff became GPs. And so they opened up their own practices and began to call instead of Mortenson Family Dental or Mortenson Dental, it was Mortenson Family Dental, and so they had 4 or 5 locations with the same name. As time went on, some of Wayne's classmates became interested in joining because they began to take a little bit of burden off the practices even back in the late 90s with payroll administration and finance and accounting and some things like that. And, other doctors began to see the value of that. So our chairman, which was Wayne's classmate, Dr. Bob Fox, was one of the first to join. He's still with us today. He's still practicing dentistry, and he's still our chairman. Then some of the kids' classmates began to raise their hand and say, I don't really want to do this business stuff. I just want to take care of patients. What are you all doing over there? And so then they began to join. And at that point in time, there was probably 8 or 9 practices in Louisville operating under Mortenson Family Dental. And they continued to grow. Will came on, as I mentioned, and started to build that support platform and bring all those pieces together. Wayne Mortenson was a constant student about learning, development, growth, how to get to the next level, how to learn, how to share, love to share. And so he had a lot of relationships with a lot of other individuals across the United States that were doing things similar to the Mortenson Group. Over time, those relationships really kind of matured into a partnership, and they entered into joint ventures with some of these other regions. And so today we have several regions that are out there operating very much like Mortenson Dental, the founding region, and growing their region on our support platforms. And so today we have 150 locations across 9 states. And so that really is how that really unfolded. As Will came on as president, and brought his ortho business, that introduced specialty to Mortenson Dental Partners. And so first was ortho, and then oral surgery came on board, and then kids dentistry came on board. And those really are primarily our specialties today. Our business overall is 75% GP, and then 25% will be broken across those specialties in specialty practices. So that was really kind of the journey. Looking forward a little bit, we're really kind of doing the same thing. And so we have a lot of great relationships with a lot of folks that we like to share information in Remington. I know, we get the opportunity to do that with you on fair amounts of occasions, which we very, very much appreciate learning from you. And hopefully we're providing some value to you too.
Very much.
As time goes on, sometimes people call us and say, hey, we'd like to talk about just joining the team. And that's how we have grown and how we're going to continue to grow.
That's incredible. So you said 9 states, Bill. Over which states are you guys in for those listeners that are wondering if Mortenson's in their area?
Yeah, so we are in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Georgia, South Carolina, Texas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Utah.
So
Yeah,
with that, you've mentioned a lot of
people look at our maps sometimes. They're like, "How did Salt Lake City, Nebraska?" And that's the relationships, right? Because the Wayne would go to conferences, he would meet with different people, they'd sit down and talk, and over some time they'd say, "Oh, sure, we can figure that out." But that's why the footprint looks the way it does. Works great.
That's so cool. So you've mentioned so many cool things I kind of want to dive into a little bit further. One of the things was that operations, like your automation of the insurance verification, of having a big impact on your business. What are some other things, and even maybe diving further into that insurance verification, that have had a big impact on you guys as a company or on like the individual practices on a clinical level?
Yeah, so one of the other core differences really about Mortenson is we are, as I mentioned in the opening, really very doctor-centric. 9-member board, 7 docs, clinical clinicians supporting our clinicians, doctors, hygienists, specialists is all top of the list for us. We really have a very robust platform, and a lot of DS will say that. And I would just encourage your listeners when they're evaluating different ones to, what does that mean? And so let's make a list. Exactly what are the benefits? What does the support look like? And how does all that work? And so we have what we call a hire to retire program for our clinicians. And this is both doctors and hygienists. And really, what we want is to build a relationship with those individuals that they join us. They enjoy working here. They love their jobs. They enjoy their career at Mortenson Dental, and they want to stay to retirement. That's our goal. And if they don't, that's okay. But we're doing pretty good. We have a 90% doctor retention rate. And so we're very, very proud of that. I would say that's got to be probably one of the highest, if not the highest, that I've heard in terms of stats for doctor retention. And it really is a comprehensive clinical support system that we've built here that we're very, very proud of. So the hire to retire process is basically we meet with our doctors a couple times a year and just ask them, how's it going? What do you want? What do you want differently? How can we better support you? And this is it is a structured conversation. It's not really formal. I don't mean that, but we want to make sure that we ask all the right questions. And so if they're looking for some type of specific CE development, then we go look to try to find that to help support them on that. If they're looking for some type of different operational support, we want to listen to that and determine what we might be able to do to help bring that to the table. If there are financial or life goals that they want to achieve or accomplish, we want to know about that too and see what we can do to help them with that as well. I would tell you that's been one of our shifts over the last 5 to 7 years is as opposed to like a doctor who want you to work 40 hours or 36 hours a week, being a whole lot more flexible. Like, what do you want? And we're finding that there's a lot of magic to that. I mean, our dentists have sacrificed a lot. They've invested a lot to become dentists, and it's a great accomplishment. And with that comes some great financial reward, but they're also looking for some lifestyle benefits. And we like to accommodate that anytime we can. We have many practices where it might be two docs, one works 2 days, one works three, or one opens in the morning and one works a little bit later in the afternoon, splits days, so that they can meet their family lifestyle goals and objectives. And so that's really been meaningful. I think people really appreciate that. I think the culture a little bit is changing a little bit from maybe when we were younger and it was, how many hours can you work and all those types of things. And frankly, I think it's smarter than the way we grew up. There's a nice balance to that. We try to support that any chance that we can. Also, in the hire to retire, we try to help them financially. And so during COVID, we saw some strain with some of our doctors financially, and they were just, they were concerned about managing it, as we all were, but it's really not the way we want our team to feel. And so we engaged and contracted with a financial planning group, and we offer free financial planning services for our doctors. And so they get quarterly check-ins with their financial advisor, and they'll help them from right out of school. Again, think about the hire to retire process and how that looks. Early in their career, they'll talk to them about helping manage through the debt and kind of helping them with budgeting and what they should be doing to save for retirement. As time goes on, what they should be doing on their investments and what they should be doing to pay down their house and when it's the right time to buy the nice car or the boat and those types of things. And then as you get to retirement, kind of helping you plan about how you manage for retirement, weddings for your, children or your college expenses. And they help you plan all that out. And we've gotten tremendously good feedback from that. And just trying to show our doctors we care. We want you, to come to work and be successful clinically, of course, and we'll do everything we can there, but we want you to have a great life. And how can we help you? And so the hire to retire process has been really exciting for us, and it's been very rewarding. And we do it with our hygienists too, a little different scale, but I mean they're clinicians too. They work really hard. They're looking for many of the same things as the doctors are, and so we try to work with them on that as well. The other thing on doctor, you mentioned specifically clinically, and I think that's a good place for us to chat because this is something really important to us. And so again, around that doctor support um, idea and developing things clinically, we have a GP advisory council. Matter of fact, Dr. Brett Bostic, our chief dental officer, and myself last night, we have probably about 20 docs around our group that every quarter we get on a call, 7 o'clock at night, and just talk about how things are going. And so they have direct access to the chief dental officer and the CEO and share with us what they like, what they don't like, what we need to get better at. Sometimes we get praise and recognition and appreciation on that call. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes, like, I don't know what y'all are thinking there. It's a nice sounding board for us to sit down with people who are taking care of patients every day and saying, this is what we're thinking about. Give us some feedback. And it helps us keep from making missteps. It keeps them engaged, and their feedback is invaluable to us. We also have a clinical affairs team. We have a board of directors committee that is a clinical committee with 70 team members on it. So I could go on and on. I'm talking too much. I think I'll let you
Oh,
ask
not at
some.
all. No, you're good. Uh, Go for it,
Um,
Remington.
the last thing I guess I'll say is Top Docs is one of our continuing education programs. So when a new doctor comes on, we have a Top Docs continuing education program that we start with. And depending on the doctor, they may not go to all the sessions, but it's basically every other month. And then every session, it'll be a weekend in a nice city. We'll bring in some really good speakers, some entertainment, some nice meals, camaraderie, and it's just a good way to orientate them to the group and get their, some good starting continuing education. And then we kind of do it more specific for each provider after that. But that's gotten really a lot of great recognition from our clinicians. And each group is kind of like they have an alumni. I'm Top Docs 2017 and I'm Top Docs 2021 and those types of things. And they'll get in national meetings and they'll connect and catch up with each other. So it's kind of neat.
Oh, that is a cool program.
You've done a lot of neat things in order to get where you're at today. You make it sound really easy. But I know how much work it takes to get where you're at today to implement any of these programs, um, which is tremendous. I mean, when I hear what you're doing with your doctors and your hygienists, the financial side, meeting with them, it is incredible how much time and devotion you guys have towards them now and in the future. But my real question is, what innovation are you guys working on next that you're excited about?
Well, there's probably two that are in the pipeline that I'm very excited about. The first one is our Smile Chat portal. I'm sure you're familiar with Epic's My Chart, where patients can log on, they can see their records, they can schedule appointments, they can make confirmations, those types of things. And so, because of the platform that Dr. Engelman built many years ago and the connectivity of that, we continue to build that. Dion Perkins is our vice president of information technology, came from Kroger, very, very skilled and talented about scaling IT in large businesses. But we really have we were really close to almost having the infrastructure to just do it. Dion worked with our practice management software provider, Open Dental. We developed some API interfaces that allowed us really to build a lot of things on our own and then leverage it into the platform. And so we are probably 90% done with our My Chat portal. It will be an app on your phone, direct connection into your scheduling, confirmation appointment, balances due, pay your balances due, look at your billing, those types of things. There is so much fraudulent activity on people's phones with text messages and, click here to confirm and be like, I don't know if I want to trust this text message or not. And so this really kind of makes it a direct link between us and our patients. And in there was, I want to follow up with my doctor. I'm having some complications, or I want to ask a post-procedure follow-up, or we want to share back with them. This is after the extraction. These are the things that you need to make sure you do and don't do, and it allows us just a great communication tool with our patients. And so we will release that here in Q1 of 2026 for some testing, and then we'll go from there with that. But super excited about that. The other thing about that is oftentimes people want an appointment. We can't get them in fast enough. So they can be on a waiting list. As soon as we know one, we can ping them and they can accept it. It's on the schedule. Those types of things get really pretty exciting. The other one is also really about, helping our providers, manage the best of their time. There's nothing more frustrating than a canceled appointment. And I'm sure both of you can relate to that. So Dion, also in IT, is developing an artificial intelligence tool that really kind of creates schedule predictability. And so it can look at your schedule and say, okay, you got high risk for this patient not showing at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And many of our practices have multiple doctors and multiple hygienists. And this allows us to look across the schedule and think a little bit differently about that, and utilizing a team column that would allow us to kind of prepare for maybe those expected cancellations, if you will. It also allows the front desk to work a little more proactively on those that look to be high risk, about making sure that we've actually made the connection. We've talked to them. They're going to be here, those types of things. And then working the list, because it also can kind of manage your people that are trying to get in and say, well, if this one doesn't come, here's where you need to go in order to backfill that calendar and schedule. So those are two things that we're very, very excited about in terms of innovation at Mortenson Dental Partners.
Well, those are some cool innovations. I've got to say, I really like that. What's your risk level for a no-show on this?
Yeah.
Um, in Montana, we would need it to calculate in the weather as well for risk of no-show.
They,
But yeah, that's incredible. That's way cool. I think that's a neat innovation you guys have going there. That it'll be fun to see how that grows and how it develops. In terms of like, you've talked a lot about building culture and leadership amongst your doctors and your organizations. How does that work on the individual practice level with each different doctor, maintaining that culture across everyone else? Or do you want to empower the doctors to build their own culture in their office? Like, what is your guys' goal there, Bill?
yeah, so managing culture and investing in it for the company is really important for us. So a couple of things. Number one, we have a new employee orientation program that's really robust. A lot of organizations, say, hey, we had new employee orientation. It's really about how to punch in and punch out, and your
Yeah.
benefits, et cetera. We spent a lot of time with our team about the history of the organization, what we're here for, what we stand for, and bringing them and indoctrinating them really into those beliefs. We get a lot of great feedback on new employee orientation, which gets them started on the right foot. Practice managers, doctors, hygienists, the existing team do a lot to bring those individuals around with daily huddles. We have process meetings, we have regional meetings, and all of those really we focus on culture in those, as well as what our business goals and our objectives are. The other thing is that we have a Mortenson Charitable Foundation that is part of our organization that really kind of shows our team members what we mean by some of this. And so the Mortenson Charitable Foundation is it's a 501c. Many people participate to it and make contributions to it, but we'll do community support events. We will support local charities. We raise money for Smiles for Life with the Crown Council. Excuse me, Crown Council. All those things super exciting, but we also have a team member relief fund. And this allows a team member who maybe has fallen on some hard times, maybe they've had a auto repair that's needed and they don't have the funds for it. They can appeal to the charitable foundation and we'll go fund this for them. I know we've bought refrigerators, we've fixed cars, we've bought air conditioners, we've put roofs on, those types of things just to help our team members as life happens. And I think the best thing you can do to really to build a culture is to live it. And these types of things really allow us to demonstrate we mean what we say. Are all about those things. And then we get it back from them because they get to participate in it. And that I think the culture being real and genuine is really the heart of that. Because as people feel it, then they become more believable that this is not just words, this is how we do things here. And then they start to replicate it. And that's worked really well for us. Another thing we do on the culture side is we have an annual summit every year where we bring everybody together and all the practices. And so, we will be in different areas. So we'll have one in Louisville. We'll have about 1,000 team members in Louisville. We'll have one in Savannah, Georgia, Indianapolis, Nebraska, West Texas, and Salt Lake City. And everybody comes, practice managers, BAs, DAs, doctors, hygienists, and we just celebrate the year. We celebrate our teams, talk a little bit about the future, what's coming next, and then we make some investments in some speakers that motivational type speakers, that we get a lot of great feedback on. So we talk a little bit about the business during that day, but we have a lot of fun, and we try to do some things that just uplift the team. So.
Wow.
I kind of want to ask you questions all day long, to be honest with you. So, but I know that we don't have all the time in the world. But you've stimulated a lot of questions that are going coursing through my brain. One of the questions that I had is what I mean. Just your description of your organization kind of destroys the reputation of what DSOs currently have. What else would you say is benefit? Why is Mortenson better than every other DSO out there?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think Mortenson is a great organization. Love being here. I think our team loves being here. One of our strategic imperatives is to create an organization where people love their jobs. Because if you love your job, you come to work every day, you show up, you take great care of patients. All that being said, we're not perfect. I do want to be clear about that. We make mistakes all the time, and just really try to do better. What makes us different or better than all the other organizations? I don't know that I even feel comfortable making that claim. I love who we are. I love our team. I think we do the right things for the right reasons. And I think there's a lot of other good groups out there too. So, I think our doctor ownership, being centric around our providers in healthcare. We talked earlier about my background, and I'm not a clinician. I don't try to be a clinician. I've only seen X-rays in a executive meeting, so I could understand what it looked like when you overlaid AI on top of them. We've never talked about treatment planning as a leadership team, what you need to do as a clinician and what you don't need to do as a clinician. We talk about how to support our clinicians. We talk about everything around that operatory and how to make that effective in supporting the docs. And I think that's what makes us a little differently. We want our docs engaged on board. We respect their clinical autonomy. Let them practice dentistry. And that's one of the great things about these types of organizations is, we have some of the best in the business and the leadership team from operations, finance, technology, rev cycle management. We try to get the absolute best there to support our clinicians, and it works out well. We focus on what we know how to do to support them, and we let them do the dentistry and the patient care, and it's a magical combination.
That's fabulous. Well, let's close out with a couple rapid fire questions. We got 3 questions for you. We'll kind of close this out and then ask you how people can get in touch with Mortenson if they're interested in learning more about Mortenson or working for Mortenson. But first question for you, what is the one book do you recommend everyone should read and why?
That's a great question. I know this is rapid fire. I'm starting to turn through the library here. I think on a growth journey, probably what got you here won't get you there. And the summation of the book really is that we're all on a growth path, right? And if we want to achieve and get to the next level, then the next level, it takes a different skill set to be successful there than it did to be what got you successful at the level you're at. And so oftentimes you see people as they grow, they can't really break from that level to the next one because they don't see the different skill set that's coming for the next position. This book does a nice job of helping people understand how to take that journey. And I highly recommend it. It's a good one. I recommended it to a lot of folks, and they've never come back and said, "Oh, that was not time well spent." So, anyway, that would be one. That's a
What
great
was the name
question,
of that
Tanner.
book again?
What got you here won't get you there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and I usually keep half a dozen copies in my office because I'll pass them out occasionally. So,
All right. The second question: if you could fix one problem in dentistry, what would it be, and how would you fix it?
well, if I knew how, I'd be doing it. I would say how to improve um, the recognition of healthcare organizations about the importance of oral health to overall systemic health. Everybody on this podcast is going to know and understand how important oral health is to your overall health. Unfortunately, as a community, our patients are understanding it. I read surveys all the time that they better understand oral health means better overall health. There is no real recognition, in my mind, by the insurers of the value that dentistry can bring to the overall health of America, which ultimately means better outcome for our patients, better lives for our patients, and reduced medical expenses. And so, how do we get them to understand this interrelationship and value dentistry more so that we can see more patients, we can take care of more people, and overall improve their lives by improving their overall health? That's what I would love to see us as a profession make an impact in.
All right.
I love it. What lessons have you learned in your current position that have changed you for the better? Obviously, we're always continuing to grow and improve, but what do you feel like you've learned in your current position that's helped you get better as a person?
Well, at Mortenson, we're really lucky. As I mentioned, every team member here is an owner in the company. And I think that even in a company that's not the case, this applies, is they really all come to work and they want to do a good job, right? And there are so many things across our 2,400 team members that they know about how to make our organization better. And so to me, it's critically important to listen, and so we have a listening strategy at Mortenson. And so we do surveys with our team members, with our doctors. We also do them with our patients, of course. And we listen. And so every year we'll do a culture and engagement survey, and we'll survey 2,500 team members, and we'll have 1,900 responses. And there's questions with, scores from, the normal matrix, but then there's the open-ended text comment boxes. And those are invaluable. We get so many great ideas from our team members. Um, I would just encourage anyone in a leadership position to listen. You can't always do everything they ask. You can't always make them happy, but they care deeply about taking care of our patients and running a great company. And there are many, many great ideas out there. And so taking the time to ask, and then also recognizing that when it's coming back your way, you have to stop talking and listen, and digest what they're telling you, to me that is a great thing for any leader to do. And it's one that certainly I've gotten better at over the years, and one that I cherish. I really do. So.
It's fabulous. Well, how can people get in touch with you, Bill, or with Mortenson directly if they're looking to come work there or want to learn more about you guys? How do they get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, a couple of ways. If you just want to learn more about the organization in general, I would send you to mortensondentalpartners.com. A lot of good information there about the company, our history, our founders, how we got here. And there's a contact us now button on there that'll get you into, an email that will allow someone to get back to you on whatever topic that you're interested in. If someone's interested in a position at Mortenson Dental Partners, we have a email address. It's recruiting@mdpweb.net. And somebody can reach me directly at bill.becknell@mdpweb.net. And so that would probably be the three best paths besides visiting one of the practices in one of our states.
Well, that's fabulous. Remington, anything else before we adjourn here?
No, I've just enjoyed the time. Thank you so much for being with us on this cold winter morning.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I really appreciate both of you asking for us to participate. Really support what you guys do. Appreciate the podcast and the good information that you keep out there for dentistry. These things are invaluable. So thank you for what you do here and appreciate the invite. It's always great to talk to both of you.
Well, thank you, Bill. That is it for today's episode of the Bonded Dental Podcast, and we will catch you all in the next episode. See you later.